What is up, people? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a lovely weekend. I never made a video on Friday. Obviously, most of you probably would have assumed already in terms of why I didn't make a video. Welcome to another video. I hope you're doing great. And yeah, man. Obviously, the sad news about Queen Elizabeth last week. She died basically at Balmoral Castle or whatever it is. But yeah, man, that then resulted in football being cancelled for the weekend because you see, it must like the whole thing about England and the royal family. In fact, Britain, like the United Kingdom and thingy, and the Queen and the royal family and all of that stuff. So it's really like the royal family is really part of society in that part of the world. It's not like us in South Africa where like so we have some people who are royalty, but not everything that we do is centered around the royalty. Like if they die, we're not gonna kind of halt the thing that we do. But there, it's really like important to acknowledge when, especially when it's someone as significant as the Queen, who has died. That like every sporting event is cancelled and like or postponed, and they really kind of go into a period of mourning. Where mourning, not mourning, mourning. And they really like kind of acknowledge the fact that a really important person in society, a great leader for the English people, has died. So that's why everything was cancelled, and as a result, the cracking game we're looking forward to, which was between Spurs and Manchester City, did not go ahead. I'm sure we are going to get some updates from the Premier League in terms of when that game is going to go on. But obviously, it's not going to be going on this weekend because there's another set of fixtures this weekend, and it's not going to be going on midweek because the Champions League midweek, which is why I'm doing this video. But I just wanted to kind of get that out the way in terms of why I didn't do a video on Friday. Obviously, it was because of the fact that Queen Elizabeth had died, and like there was nothing to make a video about because all the games were postponed. So yeah, man. Obviously, I already did make a video about Graham Potter being appointed as Chelsea manager. So probably the first time we are going to see Graham Potter in charge of Chelsea is going to be tomorrow, I think, or Wednesday, when they play RB Salzburg from Austria. Now, I think there are some question marks that are centered around the games that will be playing in London, because the police force in London is mainly going to be kind of deployed with the royal family and stuff like that, because the Queen's body is kind of moving around England and Scotland and stuff like that, and therefore a lot of the police force are there. Well, a lot of the police force is there because it's kind of one thing, even though it's many people. But yeah, man, like for example, I know that the Arsenal game against PSV in the Europa League has been postponed because of a lack of because of the police are going to be mainly be deployed with the royal family, and like it's mainly going to be they're mainly going to be focused on the whole thing with the Queen and stuff, and therefore there are not going to be enough policemen and women for that Arsenal game. Obviously, there are policemen and police women that are deployed every time there's a game to ensure that no there are no like fights that take place and people being stabbed or people being shot and stuff like that. So that's why there's a police presence in each and every game that takes place. So I'm not sure whether the Chelsea game is going to go ahead, but as far as I'm concerned, as of now, it is going ahead. From what I've read on Sky Sports and what I've heard from these news channels like the Athletic, there's unless there's there's something that happens, I think the Chelsea game is going to be going ahead, and that's going to be Graham Potter's first game as Chelsea manager. Now, I think it would have been really a blessing in disguise for Graham Potter to have the weekend's game postponed, because he was appointed as Chelsea manager on Wednesday, I think, and even though he didn't have a press conference on the Friday, in fact, no manager had a press conference on the Friday because the games all postponed. So I think it would have been a blessing in disguise for him, because he would have had time on the training pitch with his players, with his new players, and he would have at least tried to work something out in terms of how he is going to shape his team, and how he's going to play, and which players are going to be in his first starting 11 and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure the Chelsea players would have been in good spirits, because there's a new manager, and therefore each and everyone has a clean slate. Each and everyone has a chance to make the team, because a new manager doesn't come with any favoritism that a previous manager might have had. Or maybe I'm not like, maybe I'm accusing Thomas Tuchel when I'm talking about favoritism, because I don't think, like, for example, players like Ziyech and Pulisic, I don't think they were not playing a lot because of favoritism. They were simply not playing because they were not good enough, and Thomas Tuchel didn't trust them. But now those players have a chance to start like on a clean slate, and because there's a new manager in town, and therefore they're going to be kind of really up for the training sessions, and they're going to be really trying to play to train at a very high level, so that they can give themselves the best chance to make the team. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Chelsea play under Graham Potter. And as I already said, he would have a time on the training pitch to kind of try and drill his players and work on a few things that he wants to basically tweak in the team. I'm pretty sure Graham Potter is going to change from a back three to a back four, because Graham Potter likes playing a progressive style of football. If he plays a back four, he can get an extra player onto the pitch that is going to be mainly focused on like in attack. And there's actually some transfer updates with regards to Chelsea. Not that it's a transfer update, but I read an article from David Ornstein. Remember when I was talking about transfer news, I told you about two guys. I told you about David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano. Those are the two guys. If you want to hear any news about transfers, if you want reliable sources, those are the go-to guys with regards to reliable transfer news. David Ornstein recently reported with the Athletic that N'Golo Kante has rejected Chelsea's contract offer. Remember, Kante's contract is ending next summer. So in June 2023, his contract at Chelsea is up. So if he does not agree a new contract, he can join another club on a free transfer. And as it stands, he has rejected Chelsea's contract proposal. Now, that could mean a number of things. It could mean he doesn't want to stay at Chelsea, or he wants more money. So it's not just the fact that maybe he does not want to be at Chelsea anymore. It could be the fact that maybe he's like maybe he feels like he's worth more than what he's being offered. Now, I don't know how much they're offering him. I didn't really read the article. I just saw that he has rejected a contract offer from Chelsea. Yeah, that's an interesting story. I think Kante would be a huge loss for Chelsea, as it's showing even right now, because at the moment he's injured, and Chelsea obviously on in Thomas Tuchel's last games at the club, they really haven't been good enough. They have really been bad defensively, and they've really struggled to kind of link their defense to their attack. And the last game Kante played, which was against Spurs, basically that's the best performance that Chelsea have had so far this season. So I think that really says a lot about N'Golo Kante and his importance to Chelsea Football Club. So I think it would be imperative for them to agree a new contract with him. Even though at this moment in time, he's just struggling with injuries a little bit. Kante was always this kind of warrior who's reliable and is always available. But at this moment in time, he's just struggling with a few injuries. Because last season, he struggled with injuries as well. And the previous season, he also struggled with injuries, even though they ended up winning the Champions League that year, because he was back for the last part of the season. But he did struggle with injuries at the beginning of the season. So I don't know what's happening with him, but he has rejected a contract offer from Chelsea. So yeah, man, obviously the last performance we saw of Chelsea was against Dinamo Zagreb last week, when they got beaten 1-0 by Dinamo Zagreb, and they were really atrocious in that game. They really didn't have any spark whatsoever in the game. They were lethargic. They looked slow. They seemed like they were lacking ideas. It looked like they didn't know what they were doing. They were just there on the football pitch to kind of as obviously it's an obligation for you to be on the football pitch because it's your job, but it didn't really look like they knew what they were there to do. And they were deservedly beaten by Dinamo Zagreb, even though it was only 1-0. But yeah, man, I'm sure Dinamo Zagreb could have probably scored more goals. Excuse me. I was saying I'm sure Dinamo Zagreb could have probably scored more goals. They were really bad, Chelsea, in that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how Chelsea do under Graham Potter. I really like Graham Potter as a coach. I think he's a great coach. I think he's very good in terms of coaching players and improving players. If you look at the players who are playing for Brighton, you look at guys like Leandro Trossard, Pascal Gross, Alexis McAllister, Danny Welbeck, all these guys, they really improved under Graham Potter, and they're really playing some good football. And they started the season off like really well, and they obviously beat Man United, and I think they were only beaten by Fulham, and they're currently in fourth position in the Premier League table. Obviously, there's only 6 games that have been played, so that's not really an indication that they're going to make the top 4, whatever. They don't have the squad depth. In fact, I guess I should speak in the past tense when I'm talking about Graham Potter at Brighton, because he's no longer there. And it's going to be interesting to see how Brighton actually do without Graham Potter, because he was really a good coach for them, and he really improved the players that that the club bought. You look at guys like Moises Caicedo, who really looks like a good player, and Tariq Lamptey. All these guys, man, they're really good players. And I think another interesting dynamic with regards to Chelsea is Edouard Mendy. I do have a feeling that Graham Potter might just axe Edouard Mendy because of his distribution, or a lack thereof. Basically, because he's really not good enough with regards to playing out with the ball at his feet. He's a great shot stopper, but playing out from the back, he's had some high profile errors in his last few games. And he's really basically his errors always seem like they're leading to goals, and that's not sustainable. Obviously, if you want your goalkeeper to be playing with their feet, if they're going to keep making mistakes, it's not sustainable, because you're then going to keep conceding cheap goals to the opposition. So I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic, because Graham Potter likes playing out from the back. He wants his team to play out from the back. That's what Brighton were doing, and actually he had the same dilemma when he first came to Brighton, in that the goalkeeper then for Brighton was Matt Ryan. He's Australia's number 1 goalkeeper for football. And basically, what Graham Potter did was that, I think Sanchez, who was now the goalkeeper for Brighton, he used to bench. And then what Graham Potter did was that he put Sanchez into the starting 11 and he benched Matt Ryan. And he basically said it in the press conference that it's nothing against Matt Ryan, but he believes that he's not good enough to play the way he wants to play, and therefore he can't play him in his team. And that was the end of Matt Ryan, basically, at Brighton, and he obviously left. So I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic with regards to Chelsea. Obviously, the game against Salzburg. Now, I haven't watched Salzburg play. I'm not really sure in terms of what they offer, but they are a great side. I'm pretty sure they're the Austrian champions at the moment. Obviously, it's not really competitive there, but they're really a good side. RB Salzburg, their recruitment is really good. They improve players. Actually, Haaland's European journey started at Salzburg, because he used to play for Salzburg, and that's where really he burst onto the scene. When he was playing at Salzburg, I think when he was 18, basically, and he was scoring goals and scoring hat-tricks in the Champions League, playing for RB Salzburg. So I think they're really a good side, and Chelsea it's going to be a tough game for Chelsea, even though they're going to be playing at home under a new coach. Now, I don't know what the reception is going to be like for the new coach, because a lot of Chelsea fans were not happy about the fact that Thomas Tuchel has been sacked. They felt like it was too soon to sack Thomas Tuchel, and they really thought that they were moving away from this whole kind of sacking managers after 18 months, after 12 months, because that's what they were doing basically under Roman Abramovich. Abramovich used to only give you a certain amount of time, and if you did not deliver success in that period, then he would sack you, even if you have delivered success before. So you might have won a Premier League or a Champions League before. If you don't continue to bring sustainable if you don't bring consistent success to the football club, he is going to sack you. So I think a lot of Chelsea fans were feeling like they were moving away from that under this new regime or under this new ownership. But now they just sacked their manager after 6 games. Even though I don't think, I don't think Todd Bowley and his board of directors, I don't think they're going to be running the club like how they were running, like how Roman Abramovich was running Chelsea. In that, like, I don't think he's going to be sacking managers left, right, and center all the time. I just think he wants a clean slate with the football club. I don't think he really liked Thomas Tuchel as a coach. Like why he didn't like him, I don't know. But I've heard a few reports that he wasn't really keen on him. But that really sounds contradictory because he did back him in the transfer market and spent close to £300 million. But the flip side of the argument is also the fact that the players that Chelsea bought, any manager could have probably wanted. Like Cucurella, whom they bought, who's a left wing back or a stroke left back, was wanted by Manchester City because he's a good player. Wesley Fofana is also a good player. Probably the only player that was bought for Thomas Tuchel is Aubameyang. And that's another interesting dynamic in terms of what's going to happen with him under Graham Potter, because I presume Graham Potter is not going to take his nonsense of being late for training and all of that stuff, which Thomas Tuchel was willing to tolerate. So I think it's going to be really an interesting dynamic at Chelsea at this moment in time. But that's enough Chelsea talk. I've kind of rambled on and on about Chelsea for a really long time. But yeah, man, I think Chelsea, I'm not sure what to expect under Graham Potter because obviously it's his first game. I think the players are going to be up for it because of the new manager bounce. But I think I'm not sure, man. I'll go for a 2-2 draw. I'll go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. I think the players are going to be up for it. They're going to want to impress the new manager, and they do have the quality to beat Salzburg if they really play well. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. And then moving on to the other game, obviously Liverpool versus Ajax. Liverpool are going to be playing Ajax tomorrow at Anfield. Obviously, this game comes on the back end of Liverpool's worst performance in years, really, when they were really demolished by Napoli in Naples. They really were demolished, especially in that first half. They were 4-0 down after 46 minutes, and that really tells the story in terms of how they were demolished. And then the game ended up being 4-1 because Luis Diaz scored. So yeah, man, I think Gomez was really atrocious in that game against Napoli. Matip looked better in the second half, and it looked like a more cohesive and a more stronger defensive partnership between him and Virgil, because Gomez just looked out of sorts in that first half, and he kept getting exposed, he kept making mistakes. So Liverpool really bad in that game. Trent was really not good enough as well defensively. And really, this is like an occurring theme with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Really great going forward, but sometimes defensively, he's absent. But I think, yeah, man, also Liverpool are struggling with injuries at the minute. Jordan Henderson is injured at this moment in time, and Jordan Henderson is really integral to the thingy, to the, maybe I'm just thinking what integral cultures there, I don't know. But basically, Jordan Henderson is really integral to the part, to the cog. Like, he's an important cog of the Liverpool machine. And what I mean by that is that when Trent Alexander-Arnold goes forward and he keeps bombing up and down the right flank and attacking and putting crosses into the box, when he leaves space, when he leaves spaces in behind him, Jordan Henderson covers for him. And Jordan Henderson is a great athlete who can get up and down the pitch, really a fit lad, and he really covers for Trent. But now James Milner is playing there, and James Milner is really not capable of doing that job because, there's an interesting thing I heard today, listening to one of these podcasts that talk about football. This guy was saying basically, James Milner is playing with a player in midfield in Harvey Elliott that when Harvey Elliott was born, James Milner was already a Premier League player. So Harvey Elliott was born, I think, in 2002 or 2003, in the early 2000s though. And James Milner had already started his career at that time, and he was already a Premier League player. And now they're playing together in midfield. And that tells the story with regards to Liverpool really in that midfield, in that they're really light at the moment because they're struggling with injuries. Obviously, Thiago came back from injury against Napoli because he played in the second half in that game. Now, I don't know if he's going to be fit to play against Ajax, but they're really struggling in that midfield, and they're really losing a lot of games in that midfield. And Henderson, I heard, is going to be out for a month. I think he got injured in the Premier League game before last week's Champions League fixtures. And I think they said he's going to be out for a month. So that's really an interesting thing. Like, Liverpool are really struggling at this moment in time. They obviously didn't sign any midfielders apart from Arthur from Brazil, who there's question marks on him because he didn't work out at Barcelona, he didn't work out at Juventus, and he has struggled with a lot of injuries so far in his career. He's really injury prone, and he's really adding to the midfielders of Liverpool who are injury prone, because Thiago's also injury prone, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is injury prone, Keita is injury prone, and I think those guys are still injured, Keita and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. So I think Liverpool are really light at this moment in time. Fabinho is not really playing well in that holding midfield position. Salah, like, he's trying, but he really looks out of sorts. He's only scored 2 goals so far this season in the Premier League only. And really, apart from that performance he had against City in the Community Shield, where he was really toying with Cancelo in that game, he's really looked out of sorts so far this season. I don't really know what the main cause of that is. I think I've said it in previous videos when I've spoken about Liverpool, in that maybe it's the effect of Sadio Mane being missing from the team, because Mane used to do a lot of the donkey work for the team. He always had energy. He was a selfless football player who did everything for the team, made sure that he worked hard for his teammates, won the ball back high up the pitch, was really good at pressing high up the pitch. So Salah struggling in the minute. Darwin Núñez doesn't really look ready at this moment in time. So I think Liverpool are really struggling, man, at the moment. And they're going to need to put on a better performance. Obviously, in that, I'm sorry there, man. My back is itching here. Like, I've got a problem with my skin. Like, I have, I think it's called psoriasis or whatever. So like, sometimes it itches. So I'm sorry for kind of like moving and like kind of moving away from the video. But yeah, man, basically, Liverpool are really struggling at the moment. And Ajax are coming off a game where they toyed with Rangers last week in the Champions League. I think they won 4-0 or 5-0. I don't quite remember. I did watch the highlights of those games. They really of that game. They really scored some great goals in that game. So they're going to be up for the challenge of playing against Liverpool at Anfield. It's going to be a great occasion, great atmosphere as always. But yeah, man, Liverpool really have to improve very quickly, and they have to obviously put the performance right. Virgil van Dijk is also not really looking great at this moment in time. He seems a bit tentative. It's like he's I don't know, man. He's really off form at this moment in time. He's not commanding. He's not like aggressive enough. And yeah, man, Liverpool are really getting exposed, especially with their Haaland as well. Even though it was better in that second half against Napoli when Matip came into the team, because they were really exposed in that first half. So yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a cracking game. I think Liverpool are going to really want to prove a point. They're going to want to put the performance right, and they're going to want to kind of like forget about that performance they had last week and kind of put a W on the board and win the game and move on really, and focus at the game that they're going to play this weekend. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think because of how Liverpool were humiliated last week against Napoli, I think they're really going to put on a decent performance where they're going to try and compete at least, because in that first half, they down tools. They didn't really compete in that first half last week against Napoli. And they were toyed by basically Napoli toyed with them, and they were really atrocious. They were really bad, to be honest. I think that's one of the worst performances I've seen from Liverpool, really. But obviously, they really didn't look great 2 seasons ago in the season 2020-21. That's when Virgil van Dijk got injured, and they got a lot of injuries at the back as well. But now Virgil van Dijk is fit, even though a lot of their midfielders are currently injured. So it's going to be interesting to see how they look when they get their players fit. I'm not going to write off Liverpool. I've obviously said they're going to finish second. I still stand by that. Obviously I may be wrong, but I'm going to stand by it. I'm not gonna like make I'm not gonna kind of like alter my predictions because of recent form. But I think Liverpool really have to they really have to improve and at least compete because they didn't really compete against Napoli last week. So I think they're gonna have to come up flying out of the floodgates and really put on a good performance. I think they're gonna win the game, maybe 3-1 against Ajax. Because I just don't think Ajax have enough quality to kind of hurt Liverpool a lot. Maybe they can score, but I don't think they will demolish Liverpool in terms of their quality up front. Actually, this is exactly what I said about Napoli last week. When I was previewing the Napoli versus Liverpool game, and Napoli toured with Liverpool. So I guess I should do better research when I'm talking about these teams, because Napoli are a good side, as we saw in that game against Liverpool. Oh, excuse me. But I think I'm gonna go for a 3-1 Liverpool win. And then the other game, obviously Spurs and Sporting Lisbon. Obviously, I think this is really gonna be. Obviously, Spurs at this moment in time are not really performing at a high level. They're winning games, but they're not playing at a high clip. They won against Olympique Marseille last week, but for like 55 minutes of that game, they were bad. And then they were helped by the fact that Marseille got a red card, and then they were then playing against a 10-man Marseille team. And as a result, it was a lot easier playing against a 10-man Marseille team than an 11-man Marseille team. And probably Marseille should have taken the lead in the first half if they had more quality up top, which they didn't have, unfortunately for them. So I think it's really going to be a good game between Sporting and Tottenham. The last time I saw Sporting Lisbon was against us. So like when I say us, I say City. Last year in the Champions League when we beat them 5-0 in the first leg. Basically, I think it was 4-0 in the first half. But obviously Spurs are not Manchester City. Doesn't mean they're going to do exactly the same thing. And Sporting are not like that, like how they were last season. Now I'm not really sure in terms of some top players, some quality players from Sporting. I've heard some guys who've been linked with some top European clubs to play for Sporting. Like there's a guy whom we sold to Sporting Lisbon. I think it's Mateus Nunes. Is it Mateus Nunes? No, it's Pedro Porro. I think Pedro Porro is our player. I think he's really playing well at this moment. And I think I heard there were a few clubs in the Premier League as well who were linked with Mateus Nunes, who's also a Sporting Lisbon player. So I think there's some good players at Sporting, and obviously I think they will pose a threat to Tottenham, because Tottenham are not playing well at this moment in time. They really they're not putting a consistent run of performances week in, week out, so kind of performing at a very high level. But the most important thing that they're doing at this moment in time is making sure that they're grinding out the results and they're grinding out the wins, because they're not playing well, but they're still winning. In the Premier League, they've won 4 of their opening 6 games, and they've only drawn 2. And they haven't lost. They're still unbeaten together with Manchester City. So as much as I can say Spurs are not playing well at this moment in time, they're really grinding out results. They have the bit between their teeth, and they're grinding out the results, and they're making sure that even if they don't play well, they're getting a result in the game. They're not losing. They're drawing or they're winning. Which is that's a great quality to have, or a great trait to have, because sometimes you will play bad and you're gonna need to kind of dig out a win, like a 1-0 win or a 2-1 win, and then that's really gonna be a satisfying victory, because you know yourself that you haven't played well, but you've still managed to get the win. So I think that's what Spurs are doing at this point in time, which is certainly not a bad trait to have at all. But that doesn't mean that you can get away with bad performances on a consistent basis. Like, you can't put on inconsistent performances and poor performances week in, week out and expect that you're going to keep winning or you're going to keep drawing, because eventually you will come up against a team that's going to punish you. That in those moments when you are poor, they're going to really take advantage of they're going to take full advantage of that situation, and they're gonna score goals, and they're gonna make you chase the game. And if you chase the game, you're then opening the game up, and they're gonna get more chances. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see against Spurs kind of perform tomorrow. And I'm not really sure whether they're gonna be able to. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure whether Sporting are going to be able to kind of pose a threat to Tottenham, because I don't think they have a lot of firepower up top, and Spurs can play bad, but because they have a lot of firepower up top in Harry Kane, Son, Richarlison, Perisic, Kulusevski, because they have a lot of quality up front, they can punish you. Like whenever you have a slight lapse in the a slight lapse or a momentary lapse in concentration. So I think it's gonna be an interesting game tomorrow. Between Spurs and Sporting Lisbon. I think Spurs are gonna edge out the window. I don't think Spurs are gonna struggle to beat Sporting Lisbon. I think maybe they're gonna struggle putting out a performance, but I think they will find enough opportunities to score goals against Sporting Lisbon, and as a result, they're gonna win the game. I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Spurs win, and then. Obviously, the other game, well, the last preview of the Premier League games before I go on to Bayern and Barcelona, because that's the other mouth-watering clash of the thingy of this match week. Obviously, Dortmund are going to be playing Manchester City. Why am I so drowsy, man? I apologize, man, guys. But basically, Manchester City are going to be playing Borussia Dortmund at the Etihad. Obviously, Haaland is going to be playing against his old teammates, against his old team. I think he's going to be really looking forward to that. I don't think he will celebrate if he scores against Borussia Dortmund, which is highly likely that he will score. But I just think he has a lot of respect for Dortmund and what they did for him, because he took kind of like the next level of his development after moving from RB Salzburg to Dortmund, and really kind of announced himself as one of the hottest properties in European football. And he kind of like really broke a lot of Bundesliga records, was given a platform by Dortmund, and he really had a good time there. And he had a connection with the fans there. So I don't think, like, it's hard to see me kind of, like, well, it's hard to picture him celebrating against Dortmund. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he has too much respect for Dortmund to kind of, like, celebrate against them after scoring against them. But, yeah, man. This is going to be a good game. We've had almost like a week's rest because we were scheduled to play on Saturday and then play this game against Dortmund on Wednesday. But now we didn't play on the Saturday, so basically we've kind of had by the time we're playing the game, we would have had more than a week off, because we played on Tuesday against Liverpool. We played not Liverpool, against Sevilla. So basically, we've had, like, tomorrow is going to be 7 days on from the last day we played. We played on. So basically, the lads are going to be well rested. I think the guys who were injury doubts for the Tottenham game, John Stones, I think felt something in the last Premier League game we played, but he did train on Monday last week, but he never travelled with the team to Sevilla, and he didn't participate in the game against Sevilla. That's why Manuel Akanji played. But I'm pretty sure Stones is good to go at this moment in time. I'm not sure about Walker. Obviously, Pep is gonna do a press conference tomorrow, because we're playing on Wednesday, so we're only gonna find out tomorrow with regards to the team news. But I think Manuel Akanji also probably has a good chance of starting against his old team, because he had a good debut against Sevilla, even though he was not really troubled a lot. But yeah, I think the lads basically got a moment to rest. That's more training for Calvin Phillips, more training for Grealish, who are just coming off an injury. So I think they're probably going to start against Dortmund tomorrow. In fact, I don't think so. I think they might just start against Wolves at the weekend, because Dortmund is not a tough game, but it is a tricky game. It's a stumbling block. Like, it's not a... If you're not careful, you might stumble upon the block. Basically, you might stumble. And you might lose or draw against Dortmund, because they have the quality players up top to hurt you. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pep really goes strong with the starting 11. So yeah, but I'm pretty sure Haaland is definitely going to start. De Bruyne is definitely going to start, and Diaz is definitely going to start probably, and Ederson, and Cancelo and Rodri. I think the other positions are slight question marks. Walker might start. I'm not too sure whether he's back from the problem he had against Aston Villa last week. Yeah, no, not last week, actually, just 2 weeks ago now. Because last week is the one that just finished yesterday. But yeah, man, like I think Pep is really gonna go strong. I think Mahrez might get a start. Yeah, but Pep is really gonna want to kind of get 2 wins from 2 in terms of from the first 2 group stage games in the Champions League. Maybe like get some more goals for Haaland, get some more repetition in terms of emphasizing our style of play with Haaland in the team. So I think it's gonna be a good game, man, against Dortmund. I think Dortmund have some exciting players, the likes of Jude Bellingham, Julian Brandt, Marco Reus. Even though Marco Reus is really getting on now, he's really old. For these guys, like obviously their striker, Sebastian Haller, whom they signed, was diagnosed with testicular cancer. So he's not going to be playing, obviously. I think they playing Anthony Modeste as their striker. I don't really know a lot about the guy. I've heard about him, but I don't really know a lot about him. But yeah, man, I think we have way too much quality to be troubled by Dortmund. Unless we get complacent, obviously, which we never really do. We never really get complacent in a lot of games. I think the lads are going to be up for the game against Dortmund. It's at home. It's in front of the fans. Yeah, man, I just think the players are going to be up for the game. They're really going to be looking forward to the game, playing in the Champions League, playing under lights at the Etihad. So I just don't see us losing against Dortmund. I think it's going to, like, Haaland is definitely going to start in the game. All our top players are probably going to start in the game. I'd like to see Grealish start as well, just to get some more minutes in his legs. Maybe he might get a goal and assist. Just kind of like boost his confidence beginning of the season and stuff like that. Not that his confidence needs any boosting, but it's always great to score a goal or to assist for a goal. So yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a cracking game against Dortmund. Obviously, I would like us to defend like how we did against Sevilla, kind of limit the opposition, not give them any chances whatsoever at the back. So yeah, man, we're obviously going to see against Sevilla not Sevilla, man, against Dortmund. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I think City are going to win. I think we're going to win 3-0. Yeah, I back us to keep a clean sheet. Yeah, man, we're going to win 3-0. And then the other game I wanted to look at is obviously I've looked at City, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea. The other game I wanted to look at was the one between Bayern Munich and Barcelona. Obviously, Lewandowski is going to be going back to Munich to play against his old side. Really ended a bit sour between Bayern Munich and Lewandowski, because Lewandowski felt like it was really disrespected by Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich kept on inquiring about signing Erling Haaland, even though they had Lewandowski. And Lewandowski was actually the top scorer of the Bundesliga last year and one of the top scorers in the Champions League as well. So I think Lewandowski felt insulted felt like he was insulted by Bayern Munich, with the fact that he was putting great performances on the pitch week in, week out. He was always fit. He wasn't getting injured. Even though he's really old and he's 34 years old, he's still fit. And he's playing at a very high level. He's not really getting injured. He's breaking records left, right, and center. And then Bayern Munich was still shopping for a new striker. So I think he really didn't like that. Obviously, all players have egos. So especially top players, that's why they're top players, because they have egos. They expect the best from themselves. They expect to be treated like royalty because they believe they are royalty, because they're so good. So if you're gonna try and sign certain players to replace them while they're still performing for you, they're really gonna be offended by that. And that's what happened with regards to Lewandowski. It's actually what happened with regards to Ronaldo as well. Cristiano Ronaldo at Real Madrid. Real Madrid, like the Real Madrid president Florentino Perez, kept on inquiring about the likes of Mbappe and Neymar, about signing the likes of Mbappe and Neymar from PSG when Ronaldo was still at Real Madrid. And Ronaldo felt really insulted by that, simply because he was still performing at a very high level for the club. He was the club's record goal scorer, and he was putting performances week in, week out, even though he was getting older at the club. So he really felt like that was disrespectful from Real Madrid, and that's why he ended up leaving Real Madrid, because he felt like he was really disrespected, and as a result, he was not going to be disrespected like that because of the top player that he is. So I think it's going to be interesting. I bet you Lewandowski is looking forward to potentially scoring against Bayern Munich, just to kind of show them what they've lost. Because I know all players think like that, especially when they leave a club under bad terms. They want to go back to that arena that they used to play in, where they felt like they were not appreciated, and they want to put on a show. They want to have a huge role. They want to play a huge role in beating that team and beating that team convincingly. But obviously, it's obviously going to depend on how Barcelona play, not what Lewandowski does in the game. Obviously, Barcelona have really looked good in La Liga so far this season, even though their defense is leaking goals a little bit. So with the attack of Bayern Munich, with the likes of Sadio Mane, Leroy Sané, Thomas Müller, Serge Gnabry, they might really be attacked a lot by Bayern Munich. I think it's going to be a cracking game because I don't think the Bayern Munich defense is unbreachable as well. I don't think it's kind of like that mean defense where you really kind of, as an attacker, you're doubting yourself when you're coming up against a defense that like hardly gives any chances away. I don't think the Bayern Munich defense is like that, and I think Barcelona are going to have chances because going forward, Barcelona are really good, and they have some top players up front like Rafinha, Dembele, Lewandowski, Pedri, Gavi, and all these kind of like flair players, tiki-taka football players. So I think it's going to be a cracking game between Bayern Munich and Barcelona. I'm certainly going to be watching the game if it's not playing at the same time as City. But yeah, man, I think it's really going to be a cracking game between the two sides, and there's nothing more that I'm looking forward to than seeing Lewandowski play against Bayern Munich. And Bayern Munich playing against Lewandowski, because I'm pretty sure the Bayern Munich players are going to be wanting to put it on performance so that they can win against Lewandowski, to show him what he's missing, and to kind of like put that in his face that he should not have left Bayern Munich. So I think there's a lot of stories that journalists are going to be looking to write based on what happens in that game. And yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good game. I think I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw between Barcelona and Bayern Munich, simply because I don't think any of the defenses are capable of shutting down either of the two teams, because they're really so good going forward. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw, and I back Lewandowski that he's going to score against Bayern Munich. I think what's going to be more interesting is whether he celebrates or not, and I have a sneaky feeling he might just celebrate because of the disrespect he felt he was getting from Bayern Munich. So yeah, man, that's going to be a great game to watch. Yeah, and really, obviously, there's there's other games that are going to be taking place. Lots of Real Madrid are going to be playing, but I'm not really going to be focusing too much on those other games. I just wanted to look at the mouth-watering clashes and as well as the Premier League clubs in terms of who they were facing. Obviously, I did say that when I was starting this, in terms of that when I make the Champions League videos, I'm mainly going to be talking about the cracking games that are going to be playing, and the games between whether the Premier League clubs are going to be participating. So yeah, man, that brings us to the end of the video. I think yeah, man, welcome back obviously to another video. I kind of had a bit of hiatus because of this whole thing of not really a hiatus really, because I just missed one day of making a video, but because of the whole thing surrounding the death of Queen Elizabeth. Obviously, may her soul rest in peace. Yeah, man, but I think it's gonna be really good. Like, it almost feels like we've missed something in the fact that there was no football this weekend. I obviously don't watch a lot of La Liga because La Liga is boring. So like, we obviously know Real Madrid are gonna win, Atletico Madrid are gonna win, Barcelona are gonna win, and all the other teams, I don't think it's really worth my time. I don't think it's worth spending my time watching them. I'd rather just watch a movie or something else, or just do something else rather than watch them, because we play boring football. But yeah, man, so I think there's going to be some good games in the Champions League, and yeah, obviously, as I've said, it really feels like it was a long time ago that we last saw football, which was last week in the Champions League, because we were kind of used to this fact that now we are playing every 3 days. We're playing the Premier League, playing the Champions League, playing kind of that schedule, and it kind of took us back to the beginning of the season where we're playing every 7 days. So yeah, man, obviously welcome back football, and yeah, some good interesting games. And appreciate you guys watching the video. Appreciate you supporting the channel. If you haven't done so, please continue to support the channel. Please subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't done so, please push that notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. I actually don't think I said this at the beginning of the video, so apologize for that. But yeah, man, also please push the thumbs up button so that you can like the videos. That really also massively helps when you push those likes. It helps. So yeah, man, please keep giving me support, guys. I really appreciate you. And yeah, man, enjoy the games, and I'll be doing reviews probably tomorrow and Thursday. No, not tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, because I'm doing the games that we're playing on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the games playing on Wednesday on Thursday. But yeah, man, good luck to your teams, guys, and enjoy the football. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening.